any extra issues. Bobby Fong slid his number 50 R1 up the inside of Beaubier, but it was just a couple laps to go. Beaubier retook the lead going down into turn 1, put in a couple of really fast sectors and saw just a little bit of a gap open up between him. Bobby Fong on his debut ride finished his second, and Gagne there in third.
And for Cameron Beaubier, he ends up tying Miguel Duhamel for 86 wins all time. For Josh Hayes, he now has 89 wins all time. If Cameron Beaubier can do it again today, he's going to close that gap, obviously, to within 2 of Josh Hayes. Pretty incredible. But Jason Pridmore had a chance to hang out with Cameron Beaubier and have a little chat in the segment that we call Racers Chat with Jason Pridmore.
2025 is upon us. It's a new season. How was the off-season? How long the off-season go?
Yeah, it was good. It felt like it was pretty long and drawn out. Been itching to go racing again. We tested about a little over a month ago at Podium Club, and we didn't get quite the amount of testing we wanted in this year, but it was, luckily the test was a pretty positive test, and it was good though, man. My little Brody is watching him grow up, and yeah, some days I feel like I'm a stay-at-home dad, you know, with Shelby working. Luckily, we have you know, my parents and my in-laws. They help out at home with him, and it's been super special just watching him grow up and watching him shred on his little Strider and stuff, and it's been good.
So we're coming off 2 little bit of struggle years, very unlike you. We're winning races, not used to seeing the injuries and some tip-offs. What's the mindset right now coming into 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good. I was pretty happy with how I was riding there at the beginning of the year last year, and then obviously getting set back at Road America in the rain, just that crash and doing my heel, like that was tough, man. Just
long recovery.
It was a long recovery, but mainly just like for my head, I was like, man, I just felt like I got beat down again, and like, especially after the previous year, I was, you know, hoping that stuff was behind me, and I came back and I was feeling good. I felt, you know, good in shape, awesome on the bike, and then boom, you know, struggled with my heel the rest of the year. But you know, it's a new year, and like I said, I was really happy with how I rode last year, but just need to limit the damn mistakes. Yeah.
Well, we're all pulling for you this year in 2025. Thanks for joining us, and have a great start of the season.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Such great insight to this rider, Cameron Beaubier, Jason Pridmore, but you've been through this situation in your career as well. Sometimes don't you feel like you just got that bad luck, or just a little snake bit?
Yeah, and I think that he's very aware of that right now. And speaking with him, he's like, I got to finish these races, and that's the thing. We've heard him kind of echo that a couple times this weekend. He knows he's got the speed, and now he's got to put that into play and be back to what he used to be, winning a bunch of races.
All right, so Beaubier focused and getting ready for this wet race, and it is, well, still raining out there a little bit. So let's get to the third member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopo, who's out there braving the elements.
I'm a pretty low-tech weather girl, but this isn't my first rodeo, so you'll just have to take my word for it. I have been out here all day. We saw some of the heaviest rains that we've seen all day today. Just before this in the previous race, things are letting up just a little bit right now, but it's still coming down consistently. The biggest thing is that everyone's saying the hardest, most difficult areas of the track are going to be the straightaways where the water is pooling the most. They're just hydroplaning, so they don't have any kind of feel. They're riding on instinct. Fortunately for these guys, this isn't their first rodeo either. The depth of talent in this field is vast. This is not the first time that they've experienced these conditions. It is the same for everyone. The confidence is really high. I think most of them acknowledge, you know, this is just another day at work, another day of racing. They've instilled trust in their teams to set them up for success. But when you think about who could potentially win this race, there are a lot of names on that list, guys.
Yeah, there certainly are, and that's really the big question mark. We know we had a warm-up, Jason, here at Barber Motorsports Park, and we know who went fast, but it's kind of different right now with this track conditions. But this Barber Motorsports Park, 2.38 miles. It's got a lot of elevation, but surprisingly enough, Hannah talked about that difference in the straightaways, like between the map 5 and 6, if the water pulls up in certain areas, vision is going to be really critical, especially as you get from 7, 8 to 9 to find out where the puddles are at the apex of the corners. But when it's dry, this is what Barber Motorsports looks like from an onboard camera. Jason, take us to our
Yeah, this is great. This is with Hayden Gillum. He's going to be breaking down into Charlotte's Web here. So, obviously this is in much different conditions. Grip was at a maximum here. You accelerate hard out of here in second gear. Third, fourth, fifth, all the way down this big long straightaway. You're going to go back to, as you come up under this bridge, go back a couple gears. And then you're going to go through this thing, up over the curbing, back another gear to second. Then it tightens up. That's that beautiful museum on the left that so many people come to see here at Barber Motorsports Park. Now, this is the area, Greg, today that's a little treacherous. You go through this fast left. When you get back to this right, it's pulling up on the inside of that fast right and then onto this back straightaway. And then from this point, Greg, the rest of the lap is a lot of fun. This left-hander falls away from you. You turn the bike in before you actually see the corner or the apex. Go up over the top of this ridge into a big, long right-hander.
Pretty tricky, especially in these conditions. Yesterday, Bobby Fong finished second. He brought the fight to Beaubier. Can he do it again in the rain? We look forward to find out how this one gets going in a couple minutes.
Moto America Superbike is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the Moto America Championship Series, and by NXT Bets. Play Moto America for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sportsbook and DFS platforms all season long.
We're with you here on Moto America Live Plus as you see the riders now in their grid positions. They covered it, Greg, Jason, and Hannah did, Roger. Very different conditions for this second Superbike race of the season. Who can make up the most ground with the racetrack the way it is right now?
Well, I think Jake Gagne, just looking at that warm-up we had this morning, he had a good race under his belt yesterday, felt really good about that. He's real strong here in the wet. So I think going into this race, he should be feeling pretty good. But when you go down the list, there's some guys. Look at JD Beach down there in 12th. He's won a Superbike race in the rain. I know he's on a stock 1000, but maybe a Benjamin Smith, Ashton Yates, somebody like that could be a new name up in the mix.
You mentioned the mix, the stock 1000 versus the full-fledged Superbikes in these conditions. How big of a difference is that?
Well, it's kind of the great equalizer because it's kind of the rain comes more down to the rider. You can do more with the electronics with the Superbike, but the rain really comes down to the rider. Do they have confidence to brake as deep or get on the throttle as hard? You see all the riders now kind of going a little bit slow through this, and you see some guys trying to really get out here and get in front, even on this warm-up lap, because they don't want any spray. They want to see exactly where the puddles are at.
It is a 15-lap race that is scheduled. It was 20 laps yesterday. With the race shortened by 5 laps, how do you have to approach or change your strategy in terms of aggressiveness early on?
Yeah, and I think even though it's wet, you do have to be patient because there can be a lot of ebbs and flows as the race goes, but you're not going to have as many laps to chase down the leaders if you make a mistake. So you want to get out. Look at this spray. That's why you do not want to be toward the back of the pack.
Let's go ahead and send it back over to Greg White, Jason Pridmore, and Hannah Lopa. We're going to watch along with you here on Moto America Live Plus.
All right, so we're back at Barber Motorsports Park. It is wet. We got full rain tires on for this Superbike class. The biggest, baddest, fastest bikes we have here in Moto America Racing. And let's take a look at the starting grid and how they qualified in the dry. So on pole position is Cameron Beaubier next to Bobby Fong and Sean Dylan Kelly.
Then you're going to have fast guy this morning, Jake Gagne, there starting from row 2, Escalante and Heron next to him. Heron was P3 this morning. He might have found something good in the wet as well. Gillum, Benjamin Smith, and Ashton Yates, who tipped over this morning. Bryce Kornbaugh, Jason Waters, JD Beach, who was fast on that stock 1000 bike. Danilo Lewis, Flinders, Campbell, Giannato Ruling, and De Silva will round out our rows here, Greg. 6 rows getting ready to roll here. 15 laps, and it's a lot of horsepower. And we always talk about the electronics. We talk about all kinds of things. But in these conditions, Greg, you have to still be as smooth as you can possibly be.
Yeah, and don't sleep on the number 1, Josh Heron. It looks like he is feeling the rain, at least in warm-up. He may be 6th on the grid, finishing 5th yesterday, but totally different situation. Obviously, we know that Jake Gagne was the fastest rider in the 10-minute warm-up, 20-minute warm-up session they had in the wet a little over, like, say, 2 hours ago.
Yeah, and
so
he was really setting the pace, too. And He's laying lap times out there and letting these guys see what was there as we get ready to go.
15 laps, race number 2 in Superbike. Here we go. We're away racing, and it looks like a good launch from the front row. And it's going to be Cameron Beaubier leads us into turn number 1, and right behind him is Gagne, who gets a little sideways trying to find some traction. And there is Josh Herron, the number 1.
Yeah, Bobby Fong got passed by his teammate Ed Herron through turn 1. Bobby was really good this morning in the rain also. We heard his last comment yesterday, Greg, that Richard Stamboli told him he's got the best bike he can have in the rain as Herron now looks down the inside of Gagne. He's going to make that pass. Fong tried to make that pass on SDK, who's moved himself up into 4th. So SDK with a much better launch than yesterday. Beaubier clear sailing in the front.
So looking for traction. Hannah mentioned the straightaways and how riders are looking for the grip. And you can see these motorcycles that are equipped with the most sophisticated traction control we have in Moto America. Still looking for it.
What a pass by Gagne. Gagne held it tight through the museum corner, and he was able to get by, and he's all over the back of Beaubier now, taking the long route down the outside. Here will be a harder shot, but he makes that pass stick. Herron, to me, I think wanted to get by Gagne early to try to stop some of the speed that Gagne has. You can see how confident the 32 is. He's able to not only close that gap on Beaubier and pass Herron, he goes by Beaubier, and now Herron looks down the inside of Cam Beaubier as they go into this last sector of turns. Herron jumps himself into 2nd.
Jake Gagne, the California, now in Durango, Colorado, the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha Racing R1. What a jackrabbit of a first lap for him, and already a 1-second gap over the number 1 of Josh Herron, who had a great start from 6th on the grid, gets by Beaubier, and next on the hit list is going to be Sean Dillon Kelly, as he's going to look for a way to get around the number 6 on the Vision Wheel M4 Star Suzuki.
You know, Greg, we talked about it a little bit in one of our earlier races that we don't talk about the championship usually in race 1, knowing that Josh has told us as well as it's kind of a historic thing. The Ducati generally doesn't have a lot of luck around this place in the sense of in the dry. He was a distant 5th yesterday. This could be a good points haul for Josh Herron today if he can somehow figure out a way to keep the bike in that 2nd spot or go after Gagne and get more.
Oh, Herron, a little sideways on the straightaway on the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati. But of course, this is a direct factory connection between the Bologna factory Ducati, and so there's a lot of data and information available for Ducati to dial in this motorcycle in these conditions. Although, in terms of a national championship for this Ducati Panigale V4R, this is the championship with these Dunlop tires. So Josh Herron still circulating in 2nd place. So it's processional at the moment here on our 2nd lap of 15, as Gagne has just set sail. 143.1 for Gagne when he went by the stripe.
I thought it was from a standing start, right?
Yeah, that's from a standing start, but it's just red sector, red sector, red sector, as Bobby Fong on the 50 starting to move his way onto the back of this group.
Yeah, you can see on our screen there on TV, it says Bobby Fong in 18th. It's just a transponder issue with these conditions. The 50 is still right in the fight for this race. This is going to be a great confidence-building race for Fong because, you know, sometimes in the wet, it's been a little bit tougher for him. And I think these are going to be great laps for Bobby Fong as he continues to hold on to this lead group of 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. The guy leading out front, Greg, 40.3, some almost 2 seconds quicker than Herron, and he's gone quickest first split again. So Gagne trying to open up this gap. He wants to see that get up to about 5 seconds or more if he can, and then just kind of run his own race.
Let's talk about Sean Dillon Kelly and the Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki. Hannah, tell us some more about SDK.
When I asked Sean how he feels in the rain, he said usually he's in the hunt in the rain. Last year he led at Road America on the BMW in the rain, got a little overconfident and threw it away. He said he certainly learned from that. He took the warm-up session, his first wet laps on the Suzuki step by step, kind of saving the risk for this afternoon's race. He said he feels like he got a good 10 laps or so, but the bike felt like he could ask more of it. So we'll see how he progresses here.
We saw in that last shot too, Beaubier getting a little bit sideways under acceleration, as now you're looking at the gap after a couple laps is Gagne. But with Sean Dillon Kelly, Jay, I think the big thing when we talk about it is you're going from a motorcycle like the GSXR 1000 from the BMW M1000RR. But the key is that SDK has Jeremy Toy, but he's coming under fire from Bobby Fong.
Bobby had a lot of corner and roll speed. Let's see if he turns this into a pass down the inside of this next left-hand corner. He sent that up a long way back to the 50. Carried a lot of speed where he needed to carry it. He can get down this front straightaway ahead of the Suzuki now as they break for turn one. It's a good spot for Bobby Fong as he cruises across, goes 42.3. By the way, let's not sleep on the guy back in 5th place, 42.1 from Benjamin Smith. You can see him just off in the back as somebody, that looks like Hayden Gillum. I think Hayden Gillum just crashed out there on the exit of turn one. So Gillum had come across the line behind Benjamin Smith, who has gone 42.1. Put that in perspective, Bobby Fong also at 42.1 as Hayden struggles to get that bike up out of the gravel.
Unfortunately for Hayden Gillum, looks like it went sideways on that new real steel Honda CBR 1000 RR-RSP, as that motorcycle will be more developed as a full-blown Superbike as the year goes on. And boy, you can really see the riders struggling for traction on the straightaway, trying to put down as much power as they can.
Pretty consistent there on the Ducati for Aaron. He's hit that same spot as you see Gillum on the left side of our screen. But Josh knows where that Ducati's hydroplaning down that short straight, but it seems to do it each lap to him there.
So Herron continues to set the pace for this battle for second as Gagne now with a 5.8-second lead. And Jay, at what point, if you're Gagne's crew, do you tell him to start taking it easy?
Well, he's going to see that he's got quite a big gap now. And for Jake Gagne, he's got to, what's he going to be satisfied with? When you start seeing +5, +6, that's usually a good indication. Bobby Fong goes up the inside of Cam Beaubier. How about the confidence that Bobby Fong is showing on this attack Yamaha? First weekend on the bike. We know that he did some laps at the Podium Club in Arizona in the wet. And this is just each lap, just building your confidence up. And he looks very steady so far, does Bobby Fong on that bike.
And look, these riders, Benjamin Smith off of a great run that he was having.
Last corner, Benjamin Smith tips off. And he was really doing some good lap times up until that point.
So the flow for Law, SBU Racing Yamaha R1 rider, looks like he got a little bit of a stinger there. He's going to be back, and you're going to watch the development of this team. Look at the right-hand part of your screen and on the back.
I almost guarantee you what that is. It's going to kind of one of those high sides off the inside, Greg. The way he's limping tells me that it probably wasn't just a normal low side. This guy right now on rails, 6.7-second lead last time by. He was over 2 seconds quicker than the man in second place. You can see the gap that he has. So yeah, to your point, when is it that Jake Gagne pays a lot of attention to that board? But his teammate right now putting on a charge. I'd expect Bobby Fong to do the work that he's been doing in the same exact spot. We're coming into the section that Bobby Fong has been shining. He goes really, really good down through this left right. And as they come up over the top of this next rise, on that Yamaha, he's been able to close in a ton all through this section. So let's see if he's able to do it. Herron's got a little bit more pace than the two guys that Bobby passed earlier in this section.
Fong lost the front there for just a moment and had to roll off. Hey, play Moto America for cash. Superbike and Super Sport Series are now live. Top sport books and DFS platforms are available. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/PlayMA to see what's available in your location. Sign up, claim exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now.
And you know, Greg, you made a comment earlier about Cam Beaubier, and to your point, Cam realizes there's a lot of points on the board. He won a race yesterday in the dry. He knows he's going to win a bunch more races this year. And sometimes you just got to pick your spots. And right now, Cam, he's going to continue to see these two guys in front of him and learn and get his confidence going just as much as anybody else in the field. But I just don't feel like he's going to stick his neck out. You know, you learn from some of your mistakes, even though you've won as many races as he has and championships.
Bike setup critical in wet conditions and dry, huh, Hannah?
It is, Greg, especially talking to Richard Stamboli from the Progressive Yamaha team. He said it's so important to work on the balance of the motorcycle to give them confidence and feel on both the gas and the brakes. The chassis is really important, but addressing the electronics, as you mentioned earlier, they have so many electronic aids. It really helps refine things for them. They can manage how much slip they allow and how much power that they give the bike. But Richard said he doesn't go into too many details with the riders about what specific changes that he makes to the bikes because it can confuse them sometimes. And he actually also said, reminiscent of when Pridmore rode for him, he just put his faith in the team for them to engineer the bike and focus on just riding what was underneath him. JP, does that sound about right?
It does. And I was very lucky when I rode for Richard. I had some great people under the. Oh man, Ashton Yates. That's going to be a big one coming up over the top of the hill. Ashton's frustrated, as I know he tipped off, I think this morning as well, Greg. In our warm-up, he was doing great. He was currently 6th spot, was Ashton. So just happy to see him be able to get up and walk away. Yeah, that happened. You come up over the top of that hill, you touch that curbing or whatever, and the bike gets out from underneath you. So shame for Ashton, but it looked like a pretty big one, Greg, for him to walk away from.
Looking at Gagne once again, as Bobby Fong just set the fastest lap of the race. J.O., really? A 135.808? Can that even be right?
You know
what?
It's
so fast.
That's 2.5 seconds quicker than Gagne's gone the entire race. So Bobby Fong, obviously with a lot of pace, we clipped away from when he was up behind Aaron, so I'm not exactly sure where he got past Josh.
Nah, it looks like he's dropping Bobby Fong.
Oh,
so
okay.
he's dropping out of the picture. So,
but we know he's got a problem with his transponder.
That's
so
true.
Let's
That's
look
true.
back
Yeah,
and
there he
see
is.
here. So no, it's still Heron ahead of Fong.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit something just going on with his transponder, going a little AWire there. So he's still followed, but when they come out of this, Heron's really good through the last sector. And that's going to be the saving grace for him against Bobby, because watch how much Bobby pulls through out through this left and into this next right. He just lets this thing roll. Look at this. Look how much he just closes up onto the back of Heron down through there. But then Josh is really good all through this last long right. You see Heron kind of goes out to the spot where Bobby wants to be, so it makes it harder for Bobby to carry the speed, which would ultimately help him make this pass down the inside. But he's not able to do the same thing to Heron as he was to Cam Beaubier or SDK.
As we come onto the front straightaway to complete another lap in this battle for second place, it's now 8 laps to go of 15. The gap is now 10.8 seconds between Gagne, your race leader, and Josh Heron, the #1 plate on the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati, in second, and Bobby Fong.
Yeah, you can see there on the left side, Fong isn't part of the screen there, but we know he's there. And this is another spot where he can try to take a shot at Heron as they come down into here. But again, Josh, this is what Josh Heron does so well. He fights in the spots that make it harder for people to pass. So getting down into Charlotte's Web, that Ducati looks really, really good for Josh. Now we'll see if he gets that same bike hydroplane spinning up down here as he has. A little bit better there, Greg. I'm not noticing as much rain coming down right now, which is a good sign. The track will start to show signs of improvement, even though it's going to obviously stay soaking wet all the way through.
Yeah, the skill level of these riders, they're finding where the gription is, as Cameron Beaubier looks like he's starting to get a little bit on the hurry up at the moment. We know that Gagne went sector 1 fastest of the race 3 sectors ago, but Cameron Beaubier, best sector for him in sector 1, sector 2, and sector 3. So Beaubier's done a 139.8 is his fastest lap of the race so far, a 140 last time by. Expect that to be a little bit better as Beaubier continues to feel out these conditions.
See the ramp up here? This is what he's trying to do. He wants to hold that speed and try to do something with Josh here. So he's done it again. He's tried to get down the inside, but Heron's just too good. And Cam Beaubier has just been back there studying, and as conditions get better, the 6 is going to show that experience, Greg, that he's got, and continue to creep up onto the back of these guys as he's gotten closer and closer. He goes his personal best lap of the race at a 39.4. The 2 in front of him were 39.7, 39.2.
Once again, if you're looking at our scoring pylon and you're noticing Bobby Fong's name going up and down the leaderboard, he is the number 50 on that Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha. It's just something to do with his transponder. Your eyes do not deceive you, as Fong had a good run. Around the 17 Bryce Cornbow they go. But Jay, in the last section, what's impressive to me, the last part of this racetrack, is that in order for Fong to try to get a run on Heron, he's got to carry a little bit more lean angle at the apex of the final corner. So Heron is dictating the lean angle with his speed through that final section, and that's what's really been bothering Bobby Fong and not allowing him to make a pass onto the front straightaway.
That's right. When you look at the two here, 39.7s for Herrin and Fong. Beaubier, 39.2. And by the way, SDK, look at him. He's coming back into this shot now on the 40 on that Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki. Those guys have been working so hard on getting these bikes good. SDK, even though he finished 4th yesterday, it was mostly because of a start. He showed great speed in the dry as well as these wet conditions. So he's starting to kind of creep up onto the back of Beaubier as well now.
I love that Josh Herrin, your #1 plate, has really embraced these wet conditions over the last couple years. It is really impressive to see what he and his crew have been able to do. And Herrin, look, this isn't for the lead at the moment because Gagne is way out front. He's been across the stripe quite a while ago as the gap is now 13.4. But for Herrin, he's leading this battle for 2nd place, and he has not faltered yet.
No, and he's actually pulled away from Bobby Fong a little bit this lap. Bobby now falling deeply into the clutches of Cam Beaubier with SDK also looking. Fastest split of the race in Sector 5 went to this man here, Josh Herrin, on that last lap. He goes 39.8. His best is 39.7. So the conditions are definitely improving ever so slightly. Herrin's taking note of that and starting to feel even more comfortable as now Beaubier is going to start having a look at where he might be able to stuff that BMW down the inside somewhere at Bobby Fong.
Herrin through the standing water. The bike looks so much more stable. I don't know. That's probably just line choice for Herrin as it took him a few laps to figure out where he could stop having his Ducati go sideways. Battle for 3rd between Fong, the #50, and Cameron Beaubier, #6, and Sean Dylan Kelly on the 40. So you have Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha and Fong, Tytler Cycles BMW of Beaubier, and the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki GSXR 1000 of Sean Dylan Kelly, one of our surprise stars in the Superbike category last year, going from the BMW to the Suzuki team. And Sean Dylan Kelly is picking right up where he left off last season.
Yeah, this is going to give him and the team a lot of confidence. And
goes up the inside.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
oh boy.
See, that's okay though. Those guys giving each other a little bit of room. But if Cam goes that wide again next lap, expect that #40 to go right on through there. We've seen Beaubier in years past make that pass. He's going to go past Bobby Fong on the front straightaway. He goes right by. So Bobby Fong, I'm not sure if there's a problem, maybe a visor problem or something like we can see, Greg, with some other riders today. But he could be having something going on there.
Yeah, he had his left hand off the bar on the front straightaway, looking over at the team.
Okay. Oh yeah. And SDK goes
visor.
through now.
It's
Yeah,
visor.
You can see him trying to open up the visor and clear his vision. So SDK now finds himself in 3rd. Beaubier in 2nd. Bobby slips back a little bit now to 5th here. So, sorry, Cam's 3rd now.
Yeah, Cam's 3rd.
This guy's
SDK's 4th. And Bobby Fong slides to 5th. Again, transponder issues. So if you're looking at the scoring pile on the left-hand side, that's why. But yeah, we've seen it before. How about this guy?
We forgot about him. 13.7 seconds up the lead. Look at this
smoke shield too. How do you do it on it? How do you look at these conditions to make sure that you get every little nook and cranny, every little puddle with a smoke screen?
Yeah, well,
pretty impressive. Herrin too.
Little inside info. Greg rode with a clear screen everywhere you went, didn't you? Clear screen everywhere, even in the sun, huh?
Even in the sun, yeah. Clear.
Even when it was glaring.
Yeah.
This is going to help Cam Beaubier close up onto the back of Herrin. I think it's, I believe this Giannato and Dion Campbell it is. So Herrin actually had a pretty good gap. What's Beaubier going to do here? Is he going to try to go down the inside of everybody?
He does. So Herrin took the long way around, Beaubier the shorter route, and just like that, with some lap traffic, Cameron Beaubier is able to take over 2nd spot, but we know the fight in Josh Herrin. Let's see what happens as we get to turn 1, as Herrin has a look at his pit board. Under braking as conditions continue to improve. And yes, if you watch Superbike in the dry, you'll notice that both Cameron Beaubier and Josh Herrin have what we call double stack knee pucks.
Yep.
So back in the day, before somebody did that, they used to literally stack and glue 2 knee pucks together. Now for these riders, their manufacturers, Alpine Stars, makes them nice and thick, that double stack, and that helps a lot of riders with their confidence with their knee on the ground in the rain.
Yep, absolutely. And Beaubier just goes fastest first split of the race of anybody. So Cam's definitely getting comfortable. He's going to know that guy on the #1 is not going to give up. And you can see he just rolled down the inside of everybody. And I said the lap prior that we'd seen Beaubier do that in years past, going down the inside for race leads and things. he was able to make that pass on Herron, who was dealing with back markers by going down there around the outside of him. But Cam also knows that Herron's not going to give up. You know, he's going to fire back at him if he can. And that's probably why we see that first split be the fastest in the race for Beaubier.
And also we know that for Herron, he's not going to try to take big chunks of time back from Beaubier in these conditions. So right now, with 3.5 laps to go, it's a matter of Herron trying to figure out where he can get a tenth or two on Cameron Beaubier. But Beaubier, you know, just keeps dropping this lap time as it looks like the conditions continue to slightly improve.
Yeah, a little bit better. And we got here. Is that Danilo Lewis? Danilo crashed on the Scheibe BMW. Let's see.
He was
trying to think what that was. He was doing so well in the 6th spot. That's a bummer to see. But with the field as spread out as it is, Danilo, if he can get that bike going again, can still get a solid points total here. Beaubier, that time guy, goes fastest lap of his personal race, 39 flat. Pulls Herron into his fastest lap as well.
And Beaubier goes faster again in sector number 1. Fastest split of the race at a 17.5 seconds. Here's a look at Lewis.
He goes up over that curb, and he loses it on top of the curbing.
That's wild.
So, yeah, that's just had a lot of, you know, the thing is, Greg, is you get your confidence going in these conditions, and you know that they're improving. So if you can see Fong here on the left-hand side is definitely a shield thing. It's a screen. This is the kind of stuff that definitely happens in these conditions. Danilo not able to get his bike going again, as you saw him sitting in the gravel. And now Beaubier putting the hammer down, just trying to pull away as Herron gets out of shape again. SDK not that far behind the number 1.
So for Danilo Lewis on the aftercare, Scheibe Racing BMW, not able to continue on in this race, but he's still trying to get the thing rolling. Active on the board. So it's Gagne now with a 15.7 second lead over this guy, Cameron Beaubier, and Josh Herron back there in 3rd. Sean Dillon Kelly in a comfortable 4th. They have spread themselves out by about a second between these riders. I gotta say, the Vision Wheel M4 Star Suzuki rider Sean Dillon Kelly, I like his kit.
Yeah,
his kit is sharp. His leathers, the red leathers, are looking pretty good this season.
And it's great because you tell him and Escalante apart. Richie Escalante fans out there, he's running 7th. He's in a battle right now with this guy. So right just like that, our shark crew in the truck goes right to the JD Beach and Escalante battle. This is the battle now for 6th since Danilo Lewis sadly fell out of this race. And for JD Beach on the Honda, great to see Honda back. He's along with Hayden Gillen this year. They've got a pretty big effort and a good effort together. So JD will be running the Stock 1000 class for most of the year, as well as Superbike Cup.
Yeah, so that's a Stock 1000 configured motorcycle in Superbike Cup. So any rules that Stock 1000 has, he has to run that bike as a Stock 1000 machine against the full-blown Superbike of the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki. But make no mistake, this is one of the reasons why we call Rain the Great Equalizer. You could see the acceleration of that Suzuki Superbike on the Stock 1000 spec CBR 1000RR, but JD Beach just rolling off the lever will still lead Escalante as we have about a lap and a half to go as Jake Gagne now comfortably sits on a 14-second lead out front.
Yeah, this is a good little battle right now. As you can see, JD is really good up over the top of that hill. He's not going to give Escalante any chance to run down the inside of him down into Charlotte's Web with about a lap and a half to go. So JD is going to do everything he can to fight for this 6th place spot. As Gagne comes through now, he should have the white flag, Greg. There it is, white flag waves for Jake Gagne. And we'll look and see exactly what his lead is as Escalante finds a way through on JD Beach down that short chute down in towards Museum Corner.
So Escalante works his way up to 6th place. Gagne 11.7 seconds as Beaubier continues to push hard. And really, it's not about Beaubier trying to chase down this rider, the number 32, as much as it is to make sure that he's got a comfortable gap over Herron, because if Herron is close enough to fight on the last lap, guarantee you Herron would take a shot. What a performance from Jake Gagne.
I was just going to say, everything this guy's been through the last few years, actually last couple years. I mean, we were so used to seeing him be so dominant and such a mainstay with his team. And last year, Greg, he had to duck out early because he was just having so many problems with his arm. And he had a great offseason. The thing I love about Jake is he's just quiet. He goes amongst his business and just does his thing. And right now he's got a good season of testing done with Attack. They were testing an awful lot too, Greg, was this Yamaha team. And this is going to be a big weight off of Gagne's shoulders today. He was fast in warm-up this morning in these conditions. Now he's just got to bring it home another 3 or 4 turns.
This rider, he has the all-time record for wins in a season, 17. He did that in 2021. He's got 42 to his credit and a couple more corners to go. And Jake Gagne on this Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha with a little bit of goon riding out of Gagne.
Goon riding to a win. That's not a bad way to go.
Not a bad way to go. Jake Gagne onto the straightaway, waves to his fans and his team, and notches his 42nd win in Superbike. And here comes Cameron Beaubier will come across the line in second. Josh Herron in third. Did he just do the fastest lap of the race?
Yes, he did just do the fastest lap of the race.
Herron is too much. And Sean Dillon Kelly is in 4th place. And how about JD Beach? He's our front-running Superbike Cup rider, is the number 95.
Yeah, and I'm looking for Escalante. Escalante kind of got by him, and it looks like checked out a little bit. I just don't see him up there. So hopefully Rich is still circulating. He's going through our progressions as far as our splits. So yeah, Richie's just up the road a little bit now from JD. There he goes. He goes through, and then JD's going to come around here in a second. There's Escalante. So good run for Richie. Bobby Fong ended up 5th, by the way. Escalante is going to come across 6th.
The Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki rider from Mexico notches a solid 10 points. And here comes Real Steel Honda's JD Beach. He'll get himself a nice top 10 finish in 7th place and be our top rider in the Superbike Cup category. Race progression for Gagne. His fastest lap on lap number 5, a 38.217. He figured out where the traction was the fastest and made the best of it. Now he's going to be credited with a 6.7-second margin of victory on this one. But we know,
it was a lot
had he not had a little bit of fun in the last part of that lap, that it would have been a lot bigger than that. So it's going to be Gagne, Beaubier, and Herron. A 138.065 on the last lap for the number 1. When we come back to Barber Motorsports Park, we're going to talk to Jake Gagne and find out how he was able to pull off this unbelievable win.
That ride for Jake Gagne being able to come back victorious. We talked about this early this morning, Roger, the rain being the equalizer. It's not nearly as physical of a racetrack, but for Jake returning from injury and having to physically get up to the task of racing in these conditions, to be able to win, that's got to give him a lot of confidence.
Huge, and I think it's been a really good weekend for Jake after the year that he had yesterday. He got through the race yesterday feeling better than he expected. Then he comes in and he wins today. And not only did he win, he had about a 15-second lead at one time until he slowed down those last couple laps. But yeah, he's got to be feeling pretty good. Way to come back from an injury and get his season going.
And he said yesterday, after being able to finish on the podium, that he was really kind of surprised with the performance that he did have. He was expecting to be a little further off. So this gives him something to work on over the next couple of weeks as they get ready for round number 2. But you can see the rain still falling. It looked like it was clearing up for a little bit there. Certainly isn't as heavy as it was as we got ready for this race, but it is definitely still raining.
Yeah, and you could see the puddles too, and the bikes. Well, when he was watching that race, you could tell some bikes went through the puddles better than the other ones. And you know, you see Josh, we're talking about his bike really was moving a lot of the puddles in the straightaway.
And you can see him telling his team the same thing, just snapping side to side. And we talked about it, just didn't seem to be as stable as some of the other platforms. But for Josh to be able to get the start that he had and then get a podium result out of it is really impressive.
And I think for him, for all these front runners that want to fight for this title, they just wanted to see the checkered flag today. You know, they want to win, obviously, and get on the podium, but most importantly, they want to come in a really tough race like this and just make sure they leave with points.
Cameron Beaubier had a win yesterday, 2nd place finish today. Great points weekend for Beaubier. We'll go back to Greg and Jason.
Moto America Superbike is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the Moto America Championship Series, and by NXT Beds. Play Moto America for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sportsbook and DFS platforms all season long.
Back at Barber Motorsports Park, there's Josh Hayes congratulating Jake Gagne. And how about Yamaha and the R1? What a performance from them. There's Danny Walker from American Super Camp congratulating him. Gagne's been there many times as an instructor. And then, of course, his team and Matthew Schultz, who congratulates Gagne. Gagne is just one of the best guys, and every rider likes Jake Gagne. Totally chill, and you got to tip your cap. Everything that he has been through, like Jason mentioned, to get this win here at the beginning of 2025 is awesome. Cameron Beaubier also with a good chunk of points, 20, and Josh Herron with 16 amazing points for him in his defense of his title. But Hannah's with our winner, Jake Gagne, right now.
And a tough season last year for Jake Gagne. He's leaving the first round of this season with 41 points and just a single win last season. You've already got a win under your belt this season. It's got to feel pretty good, and it looked like you were having some fun out there at the end.
Yeah, it feels really good to start the weekend with 2 podiums and, man, a win. I mean, this class is stacked. We say it all the time. Hats off to this attack Progressive, Yamaha, Rye Helmets, Alpine Stars. I mean, all the guys in blue here. Rough year, like I said yesterday, but to come out here in the rain. This bike is just insane. It's so good in the wet, especially. It's so easy to ride. I just sit on it and twist the throttle, and fun racing. I think Josh passed me, Cam passed me. It's kind of first lap, and somehow I managed to get the lead, put my head down for a couple laps, and again, that was, I think all of us Superbike riders going out there was gnarly, like hydroplaning everywhere. It was pretty sketchy, so I'm glad we all made it through, and we're kind of vet riders these days, so we got the experience and kind of stayed out of the big puddles, and wild one, but it was fun, so I'm glad to start the year and roll on the next one.
Being at the front, not so much spray ahead of you, obviously, because there's no one in front of you, but how was visibility from a shield standpoint? Were you getting some fog like we saw with some of the other riders?
No, not in an Orion. I mean, everybody that's running an Orion here has no issues, so that's the key. And I wanted to be in the lead because when you're catching spray, it's hard to see the puddles and where you can hide. I mean, everything just is more chaotic, so I was kind of, I think Cam made like a little mistake. Josh came by me in Charlotte's Web, and somehow I got in the lead and got clear track, and that was huge because just being able to see the puddles is key. It was gnarly.
Great race for Jake Gagne. Solid 41 points this weekend, guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's really it. In these situations, visibility is king because it's almost like motocross, right? Like it changes every lap, and you got to find where the clean lines are, and he was able to take that lead and maximize it. Let's get down to Hannah with our second place finisher.
Cameron Beaubier leaving the season opener with the points lead. Take us through that race. How was it for you?
Yeah, Jake just pretty much just gave us a lesson out there. He was gone. I couldn't even see him on the track. I was pretty nervous going into that race just with all the standing water after the warm-up lap, and I was like, man, I kept hydroplaning on the rear, even hydroplaning on the front going into the fast chicane, and once, Bob came by me and Josh came by me at the beginning, and I was like, man, I want to bring this thing home. I had a couple close calls there at the beginning, and then started riding myself into a rhythm. Was able to, I think Bob was, I don't know what was going on with his I saw he was adjusting his helmet down the front straightaway, and I made a pass going into turn 1, and then was able to use Heron as a little carrot and catch him. He got caught up with some lap traffic, and I was able to shoot up the inside, and I just tried to tick off a few laps there going to the finish, and was able to hold on to a second, which second feels like a win today after that. Like I said, I was pretty, the nerves were going into that race, but shout out to Tyler's BMW, Bell, Alpine Stars, and Man Above for keeping us safe out here on this, this stormy day. All the fans for sticking out. It's pretty amazing they stuck out in that weather, but on to Road Atlanta, and looking forward to this fight.
At the beginning of the weekend, you said you were feeling a little bit rusty. You've seen a little bit of every kind of condition here this weekend. You feeling like you shook that rust off?
Oh yeah, got it shaken off Friday.
Congratulations, Cameron Beaubier, second place today.
Yeah, good run for him, and you got to look back in history too, Jay, and think about the last time he was in the rain.
Road America.
And what happened to him. So, way to shake it off for Cameron Beaubier, and he'll take the opportunities when they come to him. And in that particular situation, he's able to walk away with 20 solid points. Let's get down to Hannah with Josh Herron and a great performance he had today.
It was a great performance from Josh Herron, Greg, and this is a track, admittedly so, that this bike hasn't always performed and Josh hasn't always performed the best at. What made the difference today? Was it the conditions?
I think if we were in a dry race today, we probably would have been 5th or 6th again, but I never in a million years would have bet any money that we'd be staying on the podium in the wet. I haven't had good luck on the wet on this bike. I've honestly been scared to ride it, and this morning we were able to try something, found something that not only did I feel comfortable on, but it was the first time in my life I've drugged my knee in the wet. So I've always thought, like, man, I was always jealous of, like, track day guys. The first time they drug their knee, I've been riding since I was a kid, so I don't remember that first time feeling. But today I got it, and it scared the shit out of me. So it was a lot of fun. I wish we would have been one step further, but I'm super grateful to be up here. Really grateful to my entire Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati team. And, just happy to leave here with a podium. It definitely was in the cards for us, and a lot of hard work from the guys paid off, and happy to be here.
And while this isn't a track that's been historically your favorite or your best track, are there any tracks coming up, maybe Atlanta, that suit you a little bit better?
I love this track. It's it's the only track I think I could ever go to that I don't get good results at least the last couple years, and still enjoy coming here and riding it. But pretty much every track from here on out is good for us. So I'm happy to get out of here and just super stoked to get a podium with that. So looking forward to the rest of the year.
Congrats, Josh. Guys.
Yeah, I mean, with all that in mind, you have to say really tip the cap, because that was a total team effort with Herron and his team. And Jay, I'm sure you remember what it's like to drag your knee for the first.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's the team, isn't it? That's what happens when you have a rider that's been with the same team for so long. There are trends, there are things those guys know that are going to try to make Josh comfortable. They never stop working. He went good in warm-up. And to his credit, to get here on the podium, like he said, he probably didn't see that coming today. So great job from our defending champ.
Well, these riders a little soggy as they're congratulating each other. It's Gagne Beaubier and Josh Herron on the podium as they're getting ready for their celebration. We still have more coming up here from Barber Motorsports Park, including what's going on in this championship points battle.
Still with you here on Moto America Live Plus as the podium celebration continues on for these Superbike competitors. I love listening to those comments down there, particularly for Josh Herron, because we talked about that this morning, how he doesn't like riding in the rain, but to have that confidence boost now going into the rest of the season, not only to feel comfortable for the first time, Roger, but to be able to drag his knee as well.
Yeah, and that's going to carry on later down in the year. If we have another race that has rain, he's going to be able to carry the confidence to the there as well.
Michael Hill's been standing by, and he watched the race along with us and you here on Moto America Live Plus. Michael, what are your takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen many races, commentated on many wet races, but that was an absolute masterclass by Jake Gagne, wasn't it? Absolutely, from the lights out to the flag, he didn't put a wheel wrong, did he? Absolutely superb. Impressive stuff as well, I thought, in those early stages by Bobby Fong. I'll be interested to know whether it was a visor issue. I think it probably was that cost him. But nice to see Herron on the podium and Beaubier just riding smart. I mean, he's been around so long, hasn't he, Roger? He knows how to win championships, points make prizes, and he leaves here with 45. I mean, not a bad weekend for Beaubier.
No, it was a great weekend for Beaubier, leaving with lead in the point standings. For Bobby Fong, you mentioned the visor. I think we saw it a couple of times, Roger, and I think it was the visor.
Yeah, and we've seen a couple other riders have problems with that as well. And then when it's raining like this, it can easily happen, fogging up the shield. And when it happens, you can just imagine the riders can't see. They get the spray and they're going as fast, and their visor's all fogged up, and all they can do is slow down and try to finish the race.
Great photo opportunity for some of the VIP guests here at the racetrack. We're going to send it back to Greg, Jason, and Hannah to wrap up the coverage.
Podium celebrations happening here at Barber Motorsports Park after Superbike race number 2 in our first round of 2025. And Hannah's still down there in the elements, bringing us all the great stuff.
A top 5 finish for Bobby Fong today. Bobby, admittedly so, doesn't love the rain, doesn't always perform the best in the rain, but it was not without its own set of challenges. Take us through how it was out there.
Honestly, I'm just glad to not finish last out there. Usually, I'm struggling a lot in the wet, but we had a little difficulties. But hey, that's part of racing. I just got to learn my lesson, and you know, I used some stuff in the helmet that I shouldn't have. I mean, it was just plain and simple. But hey, man, these guys rode great. I felt good, and I'm gonna take the positive because now I know, like coming into the rain at another track, I feel pretty good. So looking forward to another race and try to battle these fast guys in front of us.
First go on this motorcycle in these conditions, and you got a full race distance under your belt. Does that kind of give you confidence if there's weather to come this season?
You have no idea how much of a relief that is to even say. You know, the progressive attack performance Yamaha, man. The thing, it works like a dream in the wet, and the whole crew behind us has been working their butts off. And you know, they gave me a really good motorcycle this weekend. So thanks to those guys, and I'm just happy to be here.
Thanks, Bob. Go dry off.
Massive. I mean, really is like huge for a guy like Bobby Fong to come into this team and be able to perform the way he did. He was really consistent. He finished, he got all his laps done, and now they got a huge chunk of wet weather experience and data under their belt, and that's good. All right, we'll be back to Barber Motorsports Park for our continuing coverage. Oh, part of the VIP experience. You get to hang out with the race winners. More in a moment.
We are back here at Barber Motorsports Park, where it is wet familiarization session time for the Talent Cup riders. If you've been with us in our coverage all day, or remember this set of young riders were meant and ready to go out earlier on, but have been moved to the last race of the day. So they're going to get their first shot at seeing this racetrack in these conditions.
Yeah, and I would assume that all these young riders have been watching all the races and knowing where the track, the puddles are at, to be able to go out and figure it out. We talk about how young these riders are. A lot of them are 14 years old. A lot of them don't have a lot of rain experience, so this is going to be a huge challenge for them, being at a track with elevation and see how it puddles up.
While these riders are out there getting familiar with the conditions, Michael Hill, I know you're still down there. What is it like right now?
Well, I've got to say it's probably the best conditions that we've had for the last 3 or 4 hours. The rain has stopped, it looks a little bit brighter, so maybe a good call in the end to have the Parts Unlimited Talent Cup guys and girl out on the circuit. And of course for these young Chargers, this is the first step on the ladder for them, isn't it? But going to be a nice challenge for them. I think we're in for a good race.
And luckily for them, Michael, the conditions right now looking like the rain's holding off for just a bit. It's been pretty treacherous at different times today. The spray is certainly going to be one of the biggest factors. But Roger, in the races that we've seen so far, what can these young riders, I mean 14 to 16 years old, most of them, what can they do to have a successful finish?
I think the big thing is just see the checkered flag, get all the laps they possibly can, gain that experience. They're gonna know what it's like. You know, we've been talking about the spray all day, and then they're gonna be able to get to feel that. If it doesn't rain anymore, they're gonna get the opportunity to see how the track changes throughout the race.
You watch Alessandro DeMario getting up to speed. He's already been out once today. Let's go ahead and send it back to Greg White, Jason Predmore, and Hannah Lopa.
A look at Barber Motorsports Park from up high. It's been a rainy day. We showed up in the morning and it was lightning everywhere. We're so happy we're able to get the races we're getting in. Superbike done and dusted in race number 2, which means that our next is off to Road Atlanta. But it's highlights from race number 2. JP, take us through the recap.
All you want to do in these conditions, Greg, is get a good start, and that's what Bobier did. You see Heron stuffed it up underneath Gagne early. Gagne was able to get right back past Heron and then go after Bobier and do the same thing. He goes to the right side of Cam as they go into this very tricky turn 12. Gagne would steadily just start to pull away as you see Heron stuff it up the inside of Bobier. SDK was always part of this mix, as was Bobby Fong. Bobby Fong talking about some things he may have done to his helmet, whether he probably put some stuff on the shield to try to keep it from fogging up, but you can see here him going down the front straightaway, trying to get some air in there and clear that visor up. SDK goes up underneath Bobby as Bobby kind of continued to just go backwards a little bit to eventually finish 5th. This was a big move here. Heron had 2 back markers. He had to choose a way to go, and Bobier went the opposite, was able to get through to him to finish 2nd. But Jake Gagne, welcome back to the top step of the podium. Good to see him win, Greg, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in the paddock happy to see him back up winning again.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a paddock favorite. But I'm curious to find out how the championship standings are after 2 races of 20 for the 2025 season. So let's have a look, and it's going to be Cameron Beaubier who sits on top. 4-point advantage over Gagne. Fong right there in third, and Heron in fourth with Sean Dillon, Kelly Hayden Gillum, and J.D. Beach. J.D. Beach, of course, categorized with that red number back. That's the way you go that he's in the Superbike Cup Championship, the championship inside of the Superbike Championship for the Stock 1000 competitors, which is always good. So we got one race under our belts. We got a lot to go. But let's take a look at the schedule. Road Atlanta, then to Road America. We go to the Ridge, Laguna Seca. We are back at Virginia International Raceway, August 1 through 3. Then we go to Mid-Ohio, Circuit of the Americas, and New Jersey Motorsports Park. And oh, by the way, for you people looking forward, New Jersey Motorsports Park going to have a Superbike triple header. There's going to be 2 triple headers this year to make that total of 20 races. It is going to be crazy if this championship comes down to the final 3 races of the season. Well, that'll do it for Superbike for us here at Barber Motorsports Park. But don't forget, Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul is going to be live after this. But 2 races in the books. Cameron Beaubier is your early championship leader. We get to go to the very fast roller coaster that is Road Atlanta next. So make sure you join us in a couple of weeks. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time.
So we're into the final few seconds then of this familiarization session for the Parts Unlimited.
And at least get some important championship points. He knows how key that is here. Good for Troy getting back on. You see the front fairing, Greg. While Hannah was giving that report, I heard something in my ear, looked out the window and saw Kyle coming up onto the west banking on his own. Now, he's not going to know that. The pressure, Greg, that was applied by Kyle was in that first sector. He was routinely 2, 3, 4 tenths ahead. Now he has a look over his shoulder. He may have even heard something when he went into there. So, first and second now for the factory Harleys, but look who's coming. Cam Peterson is getting lap by lap, a little bit more comfortable on what that bagger feels like. And remember, Cam had only been here one time before. He ran the Daytona 200, I think 2 years ago, for the attack team. So this is a completely different bike, a completely different feel getting on the bankings with this big bagger. But he's going to find himself right now battling for second place. They've opened up a really big gap between Jake Lewis and Rocco Landers. Jake Lewis now running 4th.
On that Saddleman Harley-Davidson.
Boy, both of these riders running 2nd and 3rd, new to this class. They've done plenty of testing between themselves. Of course, we look at Cameron Peterson on the SDI Racing Indian Challenger, but the physicality of these motorcycles, these are 620-pound minimum motorcycles, right? 620 minimum. Now you have to add the rider to the mix. You have to ride the leathers, boots, gloves, helmets, the fuel, and these things are getting well over 700 pounds. It's a different physicality. Hannah?
For Cam Peterson, he actually told me before this weekend he only got about 13 laps on this bike ahead of this weekend. But to back things up, the end of last season, he said, you know, he was having a hard time, wasn't really having any fun, and he had some prolonged injuries that didn't really help things and found himself without a ride. And he's the first person to admit he wasn't maybe the biggest fan of the bagger class, but he got the call to come and test a bagger, and he figured, why not? I'm going to see what this thing is all about. And he's really happy that he got the call because he's really finally enjoying himself again. It's renewed his sense of excitement around racing. He's familiar with this track and not the bike. He said he's still riding it a little bit too aggressive the way that he would ride a Superbike. So he's trying to really make it feel like his own, but otherwise he's really excited for this new endeavor.
And that renewed sense, of course, it plays in every part of your life, whether it's from waking up in the morning and getting training to eating right, to doing all the things you need to be doing as a racer. So that is a huge motivation. It looks like Foss.
Yeah, you fall like that, you see that fairing just hanging down, and it just puts a lot of stress on other parts of the bike as you see stuff falling off a little bit. And you know, the thing is, Greg, is if he can still get out, he's 10th right now, and I'm looking to see split-wise. He's about 4 seconds off in that first split. I haven't seen to see if he's actually pulled back into the pits, because he did pop up on our board with a first split. So I'll have to see. This race is still raging on between these two guys. Bradley's had a look over his shoulder now to see who it is.
Play Moto America for cash. Baggers and Super Sport Series are now live on top Sportbooks DFS platform. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/PlayMA to see what's available in your location. Sign up, claim exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now.
Bradley ran just a little bit wide in that west horseshoe, and I'm not sure if that was a way of him maybe wanting to see if Cam wanted to go underneath him and let him lead for a lap or so. So I don't know if that was actually the case. But you see, I just looked out my window, Greg, and I did see Troy Herfrost go across. He's running in 9th, so he's just trying to bring that thing home. But this guy here, out on a Sunday ride now, is Kyle Wyman. Last time by, he went 52.2. Keep in mind, Greg, earlier on in the race, he went 49.6. This is going to be your biggest battle right now. And it's so funny how races like this explode. We talked at the head of the show about how this could be 9 guys in the lead draft. We have Baz and Rispoli go down early, and it just kind of blew the race apart, didn't it?
I think so, and on back of what was just an unbelievable first lap for Kyle Wyman.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, we did have a Mission Challenge race a couple hours ago. It's a 2-lap race for a $5,000 purse, and Kyle Wyman absolutely shredded on that first lap. And I think it's a lot of experience. Kyle Wyman has been here since the beginning of Mission King of the Baggers, and the experience and the work that his team, the Harley-Davidson by Dynojet Factory Racing team, has been able to accomplish has been great. And that work that Kyle Wyman has put in, also paying dividends for Bradley Smith in 2nd place. And I guarantee you, down here in Daytona Beach, Florida, at the end of Bike Week 2025, Harley-Davidson would like nothing more than to have a 1-2 on the podium in Mission King of the Baggers, race number 1 of 2 for the weekend. And Bradley Smith under braking, getting a little sideways. Keep in mind, these are motorcycles with no electronic aids.
Yeah,
you know, there's no traction control like you see on Superbikes. So everything they're doing is all right wrist. It's kind of a throwback type racing here in Mission King of the Baggers. And tip of the cap to Bradley Smith, who shows up, gets some tests in on this bike, as well as Cam Peterson, as these two class rookies, kind of weird saying that,
it is weird,
are ahead of Kyle Ohnsorg, who's now moved into 4th place on the 78. So Ohnsorg ahead of Jake Lewis. Is there some battles going on back of the field here in Mission King of the Baggers, race number 1?
Yeah, impressive ride from Kyle Ohnsorg and Jake Lewis, right? So I'm not sure exactly. Obviously, Tyler O'Hara might have a problem, because we'd expect him to be further up than 8th place. And Tyler there doing 52.2. I know we've seen him go a little bit quicker, so I'm not sure if he has had a problem or had a problem. Obviously, we saw him at the beginning kind of pull over, but he's still stayed out there and is going around. So this guy here now is going to come, I believe. Is he coming to the white flag this time? I think he is, Craig.
Yeah,
to the
white flag lap.
Yeah. So you can see the white flag as he comes across the tri-oval right now. There it is. White flag is out. And Bradley Smith right now had a little bit of a gap on Cam Peterson.
Kyle slowed down quite a bit. He's done a 155 flat, so they've closed the gap now down to 3 seconds. You can see there's the battle for 2nd.
Cam went through. Bradley Smith let off the gas really, really early going into turn 1, like really early, because Cam P was quite a bit a ways behind him. So maybe this was Bradley's thought was, hey, I've seen so many people lose this race from the chicane to the checkered flag, and he doesn't want to be caught out like that. So he is now going to get to follow Cam Peterson. I think 2 laps ago, he tried to let Cam pass in this next turn they're going to be going in. He ran really, really wide, was kind of looking over his shoulder, and now he's going to get in behind Cam Peterson to see if he's going to be able to draft past him.
And if Kyle Wyman is just managing this race, Jay, where he just kind of slowed down just to make sure he gets home nice and comfortable, he could put a little pressure on the 2 riders behind him going, wow, we just reeled him in by about 5 seconds off of a 155 to 151s of Bradley Smith and Cameron Peterson. But up onto the banking comes your factory, Harley-Davidson, Dynojet Factory Racing, Road Glide Racer, Kyle Wyman on the 33 as he heads towards the chicane. And they come across, and it's like 101 for Kyle in sector number 1. So there's no extreme hurry up in that one, as coming off the back straight into the chicane comes the battle for 2nd place. And now it looks like Bradley Smith is in a good position to draft and pass.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he did. He played this pretty smart, did Bradley, for his first time here. So he's done his study, and you know how smart he is. just from all of the testing he's done on all these different bikes. And look at that factory Harley go right by. And Cam might have even let off a little bit there to try to do that, but it's all about this guy.
The number 33, Kyle Wyman, in our first race of 2025, comes across the stripe. He'll take the checkered flag and the maximum 25 points to lead this championship. And Bradley Smith will be second place, 2.5 seconds behind his teammate, Cameron Peterson, in his first race on the podium. And coming across, the number 78 of Kyle Owensorg on the Tab Performance Racing Indian Challenger. Jake Lewis 5th, Tyler O'Hara in 6th, Rocco Landers in 7th, and unfortunately, Hayden Gillum.
Oh, the bike broke.
Yeah, last year's reigning champ, the number 1 plate in 2024 from his 2023 championship.